And welcome back to our November 20th. It's still the 19th. November 19th meeting. We're back in public, and we've had a couple of things come up in our in-camera discussion. So I will turn it over to Deputy Mayor Wiley.
I told them I was ready for this, but I will move that council accept the following community group funding prior commitments: the hemodialysis water rebate for $1,000, the seniors grant tax rebate for $12,000, the FCSS community grant for $60,000, the United Way for $45,000, the Handy Bus for $198,200, and that's all.
Thank you for that motion. You've all heard the motion. Any discussion on that? Then I'll call the question. All in favor? And that motion is carried. So now we move to the first one. Councillor Langmaid, and then Councillor Mitzner.
Oh, sorry, you said the first one. Which is the first one? Doesn't. I'll move on to the community.
Right.
I would like to move that Chamber of Commerce approve funding for 2025 be zero at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor? That motion is carried. We move now to Community Investment Program.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I'd actually like to move that the community investment program be funded at a rate of $10,000 instead of $20,000. I noted this year that we have some leftover funds, and I think it's been a couple of years in a row that we've had a little bit left over in there. So in interest of not over budgeting, I'd like to reduce that down by half.
Thank you for that motion. Is there discussion on the motion? Councillor Montgomery?
I would want to see, I guess, like kind of what the uptake has been historically. Like I know some years like we've hit the wall, and yeah, I think like for this year we're at 12 or something like that out of 20. So while I recognize, I would recognize that, we don't always hit that. I would hate to reduce it and then have groups, and a part of it is because, some of these groups, above that we did fund, I did say that they probably would fit better in CIP. So for those reasons, I'd rather not reduce it. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Wiley?
Yeah, I agree. I'd rather not reduce it. We also have we're going to have a full board here soon, and I think maybe there's going to be exciting times ahead for the community investment program.
I love that optimism. Any further discussion on the motion that's on the floor? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And opposed? And the motion is defeated.
I'll move $20,000 for the community investment program, please.
Thank you. And now that we have that motion on the floor, is there discussion on that motion for $20,000 of funding? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor and opposed? And that motion is carried. We move now to citizenship awards. Councillor Montgomery? Or Councillor Langmaid, sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would actually like to move that Council remove the citizenship awards from the 2025 community group funding, and that Council direct administration to revise policy 1214 citizenship awards policy to reimagine the program to be more inclusive of the whole community, and bring that revised policy before Council in 2025 with the intention of resuming funding for that for resuming citizenship awards in 2026. And if I might speak to that a little bit. I do love our citizenship awards, and I love that we can recognize young people, but I also recognize that it excludes a lot of the good work that's being done in our community that actually is demonstrating good citizenship. Personally, I'd like to see this expanded a little bit to consider things like environmental, folks who are contributing to environmental stewardship in our community, volunteerism, perhaps welcoming newcomers, or other qualities, items, or initiatives that support council's strategic priorities. And to be inclusive there, Councillor Montgomery, you mentioned in passing perhaps looking at including homeschooling and also potential, I'm sorry, the word is escaping me, scholarships perhaps for folks as well.
Thank you. Councillor Mitzner?
I'd like to keep the $5,400 in the budget with the option to revisit in 2025 for additional programs and incentives. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Montgomery?
I like the idea of kind of reworking it, but one concern I have, I guess, is, and maybe you could address this, is just, with the students, we have kind of going through the system this year, we would essentially be kind of skipping them altogether. What about, what would you say to that?
Students going through the system this year, there is one grade that would be impacted, and that's grade 12s who would graduate this year and not be involved in the program this year. The rest of the grades would still be available if the program still includes schools in 2026. They'd just be a grade older.
Councillor Peterson?
Thank you, Worship. I support the concept of reimagining the awards program, but I don't support pulling this money out. The award program for citizenship isn't always awarded to a grade 12. Lots of times it's awarded to someone else and in the high school programs. But I do think this is, at this point, it is, for better or worse, very much tied to our existing school programs. And I think that we should keep it there for this year, and that we definitely should bring it back in a separate motion to reimagine it, whether it's both for the schools and for the community. But this is a presence that we do have in our public school systems. And I think that I'd like to see it stay there.
Thank you for that. Any further comments on the motion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed?
Okay, what are we voting on? Leaving the money in?
Yes, her motion was to.
Her motion.
I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And the motion is defeated, which brings us to, I believe, our final item of the night.
I'll move $5,400 for the citizenship
Oh,
awards.
thank you. We have a motion on the floor to keep the funding at $5,400. All in favor? And the motion is carried. And now we can move to the Ag Society Strathmore Stampede Heritage Days item. Councillor Montgomery?
I hope I don't get taken to the train station, but I will move $25,000 for the Strathmore Ag Society.
Thank you for your motion. Did you want to speak to it, or is there a discussion on that motion? I think you did with the train station comment.
You can leave Rip with me.
If there's no discussion, I'll call the question. Councillor Peterson is thinking. Councillor Peterson.
So so 25,000, I'm not in favor of a reduction. I don't mind leaving it the same. I'd like to see it, and I guess I would like to know what the impact would be of cutting it back, because they came to us with a number of 28,000, I think, 28,000 and change, and there were some adaptations in that were extremely positive and really worthwhile, like a 30-second advertisement on their big screen. And I've seen what Scott can do with 30 seconds. And I don't want that to be what they take away. So I'm not in favor of this motion. I liked what they added. So I would amend that we, move to the $28,000.
Thank you. So we have an amending motion, and now that we can have discussion on the motion to amend. Is there discussion on the motion to amend? I'll call the question on the amending motion. All in favor? Opposed? So that motion is carried. The amendment motion has been carried. Now we have the motion on the floor. All in favor?
500.
Did you put a motion on for that, though? Right.
And then I amended it to 28.
Okay, all right. So can we do that again? We have, no. So, Jonathan, can you read back that very last motion that was made? Well, the amending motion.
So thank you, Worshiping Council. So the main motion that was put forward was that funding for the Egg Society be at $25,000 for the upcoming year. There was an amendment that was presented to council, which was carried, that amended the motion to increase funding to $28,000. So the main motion now reads that funding for the Egg Society be at $28,000.
Thank you for that clarification. I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. And the motion is carried. And Liana, Kara, and Kevin, is that the end? Oh, yeah, Councillor Wagner has a motion.
I would, I would move that we cancel the Thursday, November 21st budget meeting.
And did you want to speak to it?
I would. Deputy Mayor Wiley has parent-teacher interviews that night. Also, Councillor Peterson and myself have Wheatland Housing Management Body. We have gone through a big chunk of this, so we're hoping that our third deliberation will cover everything by canceling the second.
Thank you. I will call the question. All in favor? And that motion is carried, and I will adjourn the meeting at 10:35.